All right, you're back. Triathletes out there looking to get stronger. We're working on our strength and conditioning. These last couple of videos have been some how-tos, and we've covered a few basic things thus far. We've covered our squatting, we've covered our push-ups and our deadlifts. Now we're ready to go overhead with our shoulder press. This is one of my favorite things, and it's one of my favorite things to do right after we do our push-up. I want to talk about our shoulder press from the perspective of our push-up because you guys have just done that, and then you can really see how this is connected. Now remember, the push-up is one of those things that everyone's done in gym class at one point or another, but we could do it in a way where it's just a dead-end movement. We just drop to the ground, push up, the elbows flare out, the shoulders roll in. That's not a movement that translates to many other things. In our strength and conditioning, we're always interested in building this base level of skill, of athletic skill. With the push-ups, we're working on that good shoulder positioning and pressing mechanics. So now that I could take this pressing mechanics into any direction I want to go. So let's do a quick little review. Remember in our push-up we talked about, I'm just going to stand up here, my belly and butt were super tight, and I'm working on doing this push-up this way. And we said, hey, I have to squeeze my butt because that locks this pelvis in, stabilizes this whole system. Now my shoulders have something to bite into. If I'm soft here and I do a push-up, everything starts to get weak and eventually will collapse. Really important to transfer this over in our push-up to overhead for even more obvious reasons. If I don't squeeze my belly and butt when I have heavy weight overhead, I'm going to arch and collapse in the same way. The next idea we talked about leading with the shoulder, tipping forward. And just an interesting idea to think about. In both my push-up and my press, I'm never really going straight down. I'm actually moving in an arc. My shoulder travels forward, and then it goes back up. When we start going overhead, we're going to see the same arcing motion happen as well. So, second idea that carries over. Third one, we talked about elbow position in our push-up. I said, hey, if I'm down here, my elbows flare out, this whole shoulder rotates in. This becomes a problem because I'm not able to engage my lats very well. I like to think of my lats as sort of the hamstrings of my back. I really need my shoulder positioned well. I need my shoulders screwed into the socket to get engagement and get those big, powerful movers. Same thing with my squat. We talked about pushing those hips back, getting that engagement here. So I have to screw those elbows in. That sets that shoulder back, resists that rotation and collapse from out here. So we're going to go through those same ideas with our press. Our legs are locked. The spar starts here. Second idea, there's that same arcing motion. Instead of basically pushing here, this arcing motion is going to happen from here all the way up overhead. And I don't want to exaggerate too much. It's not a huge arc, just a little one. I start here, all the way up overhead. Third one is my elbows. I want to squeeze those elbows together. That winds the shoulder back where we want it to be. From here, keep those elbows squeezed as we go, all the way up, all the way back down. That's that forward position there. Now, with our overhead press, we run into a few problems, and this is really particular with my endurance athletes out there. A lot of us are very, very strong aerobically. We have some good range of motion in certain parts of the body, but our shoulders particularly are a little stiff, especially if we're just used to doing this, holding on to the handlebars of a bike. We're not used to going overhead, and one of those first things we see, people get up overhead and they're really stiff in that upper back and they can't quite make it. So I want to be patient. I want to work with a PVC pipe, really work on that range of motion. The funny thing about mobility, ask and you shall receive. So you got to work on it slowly over time by asking your body to go there. You're eventually going to get it. But we want to eventually work on that so we can get that shoulder back all the way. And hey, if I'm someone who's a triathlete who can't overpress overhead, then what does this really mean for my swimming? Because chances are my ability to reach long in the water is going to be affected as well. Same thing with the elbows. Carl and I did a post on this back in July, if you want to see that, July 2013, and we talked about shoulder positions in our push-ups and our running. And we said that if I don't have this motor control here, this elbow flares out, I'm someone whose posture's down here and they're going to run with their arms swinging across the body, and now I'm going to have to deal with all this excess rotation, where in reality, we want to screw those elbows in, push up here, run here. Notice again that this is the same position when I ride my bike. This gets ugly. I can't handle my bike very well here. I want to be here. And then same thing with swimming. If I can screw that shoulder in, I'm going to get a much better reach, much better engagement of the big beefy lats, which we need to for swimming. If I'm someone who's getting a lot of problems here in my shoulders, check your push-ups. See if you can carry it over in your overhead press. If those elbows are flaring, you got some things to work on. So there you have it. We've taken our push-ups, we've built it up, we've gone overhead, we're working on that overhead press. Start with a PVC pipe. I could move over here to my barbell. I could add some weight there, get it going a little bit heavier, and build ourselves up, be bigger, better, more badass triathletes. Catch you next time.